Right Network. Mobilizing, countering the left, energizing the right. New Right Network, home of the New Right movement.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to New Right Network's original series, SmythTV. Your host, Brian Smith, giving you all the breaking news of the day, wrapping it all up, making sense of it, explaining and showing you the fake news and where it's coming from the mainstream media, the propaganda from the Democrat Party, and giving you the real news every single day, Monday through Friday, 7 to 8 p.m. Eastern, and right after the show is the Wayne Dupree Show. So you've got 2 hours of back-to-back, nonstop real news and information so that you can stay posted on all the things that are going on in America. And so when somebody tells you something, you know it's fake news, you can call it out. Tell them, say, no, man, that's fake news. And if this is the first time you've been on the show, I welcome you, absolutely. If you jump down in the description below, there's a lot of links down in there. There's a link to iHeartRadio if you want to listen to the show audio only. And if you're not getting the show and you're shadow banned like a bunch of us are, either on social media, Facebook or Twitter, or you don't do Facebook or Twitter, that's totally cool. Get the Telegram app, and you'll get the show every single day when it goes live, and you'll also have the show notes, so you'll be abreast of everything going on. And if you jumped over to Parler, we're over there as well. Down there, there's the link to our handle at Parler. And underneath that is the full show notes link. That link will take you right over to newrightnetwork.com, where there'll be almost 3 pages of show notes and the embed video of the show inside the article. So you can take the full show notes link and share that with your friends and your family. Share it anywhere, and anybody that goes to that link can watch the show and follow along in the show notes. And the reason why you want to follow along the show notes is because we've got a lot of these great patriots on Twitter tweeting out really great news, breaking news, articles and whatnot that I've assembled to the show notes. And you need to follow these individuals on Twitter if you're on Twitter. And if you're trying to build up your Twitter following, these great patriots, a lot of them will follow you back. Also, the articles that we have the links are in the show notes as well. So you can go back and reread the full article. The demon rats, the people over at the Democrat Party, it is getting out of control, guys. We're going to be talking, got some great Trump news that's come out over the past 24 hours. The Iran ordeal, yes, the Trump announces that we have shot down an Iranian drone. You talked about the 22 MS-13 gang members that have been arrested for some of the most heinous crimes we've ever heard of. Donald Trump expands on that. And then Donald Trump retweeting out video clip of Mark Levin just absolutely lambasting the squad. We got some new updates, some new details about the squad. AOC, Ilhan Omar, Rashida Tlaib, and the fourth one who we're not really sure. Got out to lunch on that one. I know she's no good. She's a race baiter, and we've got to call her out for who she is. Presley, absolutely taking a page out of Barack Obama's Hate America book and his pastor. We've got video clips on that, back-to-back juxtaposed. You can see exactly what the squad is doing, what they're doing in America, and it's almost uncanny as to the possibility of being formed, because of the powers that be that formed Barack Obama. So as we get into the show, folks, down there in the description, there's a link to patreon.com. Now, I know there's thousands and thousands of people that watch the show throughout the week. I believe we're up to 15,000+ views a week, and this show cannot happen. It cannot be possible without Patreons and viewers like you. If we had $1 per Patreon, $1 per viewer, that would be plenty of money for us to continue this show on a daily basis. So I implore you, now is the time. Jump over to Smyth.tv or crush the link for Patreon. And if you're at odds with Patreon for whatever reason, some people are, paypal.com.me as well as cash.me. There's multiple ways to donate to the show to continue getting out the real news and to continue this show every single night, Monday through Friday. And let's jump into the news where we're going. Trump news, great Trump news coming out. And this is incredible. This is stuff that mainstream media will never, ever, ever show you. Just kind of like the Rebel TV. They're showing stuff that mainstream will never show you. We're highlighting them here on the show as well. And that's the reason why you need to become a Patreon in order for us to continue to do this. And this at NIZMY Cuba, as these Asian, many European, and Hispanic legal immigrants love real Donald Trump, even if we're insulted. Today I recalled how a Spaniard in a radio interview yelled, slandered, turned down the volume, and kicked me off the air because I told him that I loved Trump and the legal way to enter the U.S.
Don't live in Texas, you don't see the problem. Look at El Paso, okay? Look at the people at the border, you know? They be afraid for safety. Mr. President should build a wall, okay? The people in the north, they don't know about that. Washington, D.C. don't know about that. But we live in Texas, we know. I came from Houston, all right?
He wants the immigration to be legal, not illegal. We came here legally. So if someone illegally, that's not right for America.
Do you think that we need a wall?
Of course. Like the war, I think we need the war. Because everybody, when they come into their house, they close the door.
We are American, Vietnamese American, Japanese American, or Korea American. We are the same. We are the country here. We protect this country.
He's one of the presidents who have said that they're going to do something and actually did it.
He will win President 2020. Yeah, I want. Yeah, because he is president. Yeah.
This is our home now, and we want to be a part of that. And there's many of us actually supporting Donald Trump, especially a Vietnamese American or Asian. But I don't think too many groups would want to do this. We want to, show the whole world right in front of the White House that here they are.
The Daily Caller Foundation. See, that's what's beautiful about America, and that's what's beautiful about migrating to America, doing it legally, and wanting to assimilate, wanting to be a part of the American dream, not coming to America and wanting to fundamentally transform America. Barack Obama, the 8 years of terror that you wreaked on our country, Donald Trump attempting to undo the past 8 years and literally erase the damage that Barack Obama has done to this country. We're going to be highlighting that today, and the Fab Four, not so fab, doing the damage and attempting to continue the damage of Barack Obama. Some people saying that it's a blessing in disguise. AOC, Presley, Omar, Rashida Tlaib. It's a blessing in disguise because Americans are getting sick and tired. Sick and tired of what we witnessed during the 8 years of Barack Obama. Sick and tired of the Democrat Party continuing to even go further than what Barack Obama was doing. America is tired of that rhetoric. They're tired of the race baiting. They're tired of Nancy Pelosi calling Donald Trump a racist when we know, and we showcased here yesterday, 73 years of life, and not one instance can you show that Donald Trump was ever racist in any moment, any point in time. On the contrary, we've got a litany. We've got a plethora of evidence that shows that Donald Trump has done nothing but help inner city communities, whether it be black or white or Hispanic, or whatever. It doesn't matter. As we can see and as we can tell right now, Donald Trump is pretty much colorblind. I mean, for goodness sakes, he dated a black woman. Come on, man. And so when we show this evidence and we say, hey, we know you're lying. We know you're flat out lying about the greatest president we have ever had. It's easy to see. It's easy and clear to see him. That's why we had hashtag walkaway movement, Brandon Straka, and talking about his paradigm shift and what had happened to him, and that a friend showed him a video on social media that exposed the lies of the Democrat Party lying about Donald Trump. And now you see what has happened with Brandon Straka in the past 2.5 years. Just truly transformation of his life, moving forward to help Donald Trump make America great again. And we absolutely applaud you, Brandon. Congratulations on all the success, and we will see you here in October, Columbus weekend, AmericanPriority.com, American Priority Conference at the Trump Doral in Florida. Definitely jump over and get your tickets at AmericanPriority.com. It's going to be the who's who and the what's what of who's going to be there. It's going to be absolutely incredible. And that's what we're doing, making America great again, joining arms, linking arms together. You and I together are the ones that are going to continue to transform America, getting back to the roots, getting back to the basics. Once Donald Trump is reelected 2020, 2024, it's all over with, guys. Now, don't be worried. Don't be nervous. It is up to us to continue the legacy of Donald Trump. New news media, whether it be the Rebel, whether it be New Right Network, whatever it is that's out there, One America Network, we've got to continue this media push and exposing the fake news. So again, if there was ever a time to support real news, that time is right now. Down in the description below is the Patreon button. Crush the Patreon. $1 times 15,000 views a week plus. I mean, we're talking about really helping to move this country forward. $1. That's all I'm talking about. It's not much, but together we can make a big difference. Together we can expose the fake news agenda. And Donald Trump, some great news coming out of Donald Trump and his nomination for yesterday that the media will not cover. We cover it all right here. And this at X Armand Klein X. President Donald J. Trump on Thursday announced he's nominating Attorney General Scalia, the son of the late Supreme Court Justice Antonin Scalia, to replace Alex Acosta as Secretary of Labor. Sir, an amazing and awesome nomination, a great choice. God bless the president. This is what we're talking about. These are some of the great decisions that Donald Trump has made. Roll back and do a Flashback Friday, rewind, and think about what was going on back in 2015, 2014, 2012, and how upset we were about the direction of the country. And think about we started this show specifically to document the demise of America because we were convinced we were on the event horizon. We were absolutely in free fall, just didn't know it. 2015, 2016, Donald Trump, a blessing, an absolute blessing, prayers answered from God, turning this country around. His first year wrought with evils and swamp dwellers, having to fire people, have to get rid of people, this deceit and deceptiveness, the leaking and the lies, everything he had to deal with for the first year and a half, almost 2 years, getting rid of some of the worst, the liars, backstabbers that were in his administration. And now we get almost 3 years into it. We're coming up on the re-election, 2020, and now we're seeing Donald Trump's appointments. I mean, some of these appointments are lifelong appointments. The judges that he's putting in place, circuit court judges across the country, transforming the Ninth Circus Court. And that's one that we really absolutely need to reform because of the liberal activist judges. Donald Trump making headway, doing more in 2.5 years. And I swear to you, if anybody can prove me wrong, please do. But I have never, ever seen a president do as much as Donald Trump has done for America in a positive manner in 2.5 years than any single president ever, with the possible exclusion of George Washington. Other than that, I have no idea, guys. This is just unbelievable. And to think that we have another 5.5 years with this president is just amazing, turning the corner. Something I was thinking about before the show and doing show prep. At times I get discouraged, just as a lot of you do, about what is going on and the evils of the left, Islam and the takeover of America, the demon rats and their ideologies, and Nancy Pelosi with the crazy nonsense of $15 an hour wages and gaslighting. And so it gets to be overwhelming when you hear all of this negative news coming over and over again, and you think to yourself, is it possible for us to overcome all this evilness? And as I'm thinking about this, I start thinking about the election of Donald Trump. Guys, he was against the Democrat Party, the Republican Party, the CIA, the FBI, Brennan, Clapper, Comey, Page, Strzok, the Attorney General. I'm just saying, Sally Yates. Foreign powers. We're now seeing that the UK was involved in leaking documents to the media in America to overthrow the election. We're seeing that the Ukrainian officials and Russia involved in overthrowing the election of Donald Trump. Think of the magnitude of what Spygate really was. Really absorb the magnitude and the amount of people that were involved. It is so huge that the Epoch Times put together an entire outline of all the players and all the people involved, from Fusion GPS to Hillary Clinton to Russia, the Ukraine, the UK, Australian diplomats trying to trick Papadopoulos, the spying on individual Americans, the spying on Donald Trump, the Gestapo-like tactics. I'm going on and on and on because I want you to understand the magnitude, the gravity of what happened. I got to remind every single day you get a little frustrated, a little disappointed, a little overwhelmed. You've got to remind yourself the gravity and the magnitude of what 2016 truly was. The George Soroses of the world, the globalist agenda, Barack Obama, Hillary Clinton, all of the cabal combined against one single man, Donald J. Trump, with his support and his base of you and I, seeing what really went down and what really happened. Brandon, our good buddy Brandon Strzok, the Walk Away movement, did not vote for Donald J. Trump. He did it. Think about this. The whole movement didn't vote for Trump. Jexodus did not vote for Trump. Blexit did not vote for Trump. But now we're seeing Kanye West. Now we're seeing beautiful black men and women, intelligent minds, smart minds having a paradigm shift and saying, you know what? I'm not going to be lied to anymore. Turning the corner and saying, this is it. I'm done with you. The hate and the anger that the Democrats are showing right now for Jewish Americans is at an all-time high. So much so that you've got Democrat elected officials that are Jewish, that are absolutely appalled with their own party. So you got to remember where we came from, and that it could have only have happened because our Lord Jesus Christ. There is no other way that this could have happened without the blessing of God and Christ Almighty. It just couldn't have. I was watching an interview with a woman over in the UK. She was connected with Tommy Robinson and some other things going on in the UK. The UK is lost. It is completely locked down by the globalist. Brexit will never, ever happen. This woman, because she called out a Muslim rapist, dirty bastard. Muslim and rapist was correct. He was. Dirty bastard was an opinion. Donald Trump retweeted her, got the attention of the UK government. Long story short, she went to prison for 9 months and now not allowed to go back to her home in Ireland, having to stay in the city so the government can watch her. Guys, there is no freedom of speech in the UK. There is no freedom or right to bear arms. None of that. The Fourth Amendment, the Fifth, the Sixth, none of that in the UK. They are completely lost. Guys, we have an opportunity right here in America to show the world once again, what was it that made America great to begin with? What was the American exceptionalism, the whole idea? What was that all about? And that was about Christianity, Christian Judeo values, coupled with the most powerful ideology ever invented, capitalism. Put those two together, and you have a 1-2 punch with the likes of nothing that has ever happened in all of human history. That's America. That's American greatness, to show the world how it's done. Not to have the world of Islam come to America, be elected in office, cuss and anger and hate and vitriol Barack Obama for 8 straight years about how America is the evils of the world. No, that's not what we're talking about, because that is not us. And speaking of the evils of the world, Iran doing some dastardly deeds. And this article, great article, newrightnetwork.com, Trump says U.S. Navy shot down Iranian drone near the Strait of Hormuz. This article by Mary Magdalene, written just last night. The president announces the U.S. strike. Earlier today, President announced the U.S. Navy had shot down an Iranian drone in the Strait of Hormuz. The president explained that it was destroyed because the U.S. considers its presence so near to a warship to be an act of aggression on the part of Iran. And this tweeted out by the White House, and Donald Trump retweeting it.
I want to apprise everyone of an incident in the Strait of Hormuz today involving USS Boxer, a Navy amphibious assault ship. The Boxer took defensive action against an Iranian drone which had closed into a very, very near distance, approximately 1,000 yards, ignoring multiple calls to stand down, and was threatening the safety of the ship and the ship's crew. The drone was immediately destroyed. This is the latest of many provocative and hostile actions by Iran against vessels operating in international waters. The United States reserves the right to defend our personnel, our facilities, and interests, and calls upon all nations to condemn Iran's attempts to disrupt freedom of navigation and global commerce. I also call on other nations to protect their ships as they go through the strait and to work with us in the future. Thank you very much. I thought you should know that.
This is what Iran is doing. They are terrorizing the world. They are the world's super terror, if you will. Barack Obama dumping billions of dollars on this country, attempting to placate, attempting to pay them off for whatever reasons, if he thought that they were actually going to stop. Or actually, he might have thought that, hey, you know what, let's support terror. This is the globalist ideology. This is how we divide citizens across the world. Just create more terror. Go back to the conspiracy World War I. Folks, they knew that World War would actually, it's going to kill a lot of people, but that's not their problem. They're not going to die. The higher-ups, the heads of state, they're not going to die. The peasants will die. But in the end, we'll have more control over the citizenry. Look at the Fed Reserve. I'm just saying, that was another way to taking more freedoms away from Americans. Look at the income tax. That was another way to take away more freedoms from America, and that happens during times of chaos, during times of war. Globalists know the agenda. It's been working for over 100 years. They've been using it for the past 100 years. Barack Obama, in my personal opinion, possibly doing that, giving Iran the money in order to help them help create more terror, to take away more freedoms from the people. And as Iran enters the Straits of Hormuz, where a lot of oil ships go through there, just creating terror, causing problems. Absolutely must remove Iran from this area. Sanctions are working. Put them on a lockdown and shut this down. Donald Trump is not the president to be playing with. Donald Trump has taken the cuffs off his generals, off his admirals. As we see the destruction of ISIS, literally removing ISIS from the Middle East. His general said it was going to take about 10 years. Donald Trump said, here, take the cuffs off. See how fast you can really do it. Doing it in less than 2 years. This is the president of America, and he's not one to be messed with, and Iran needs to get this message. And as we're speaking about Islam and the terror of Islam and its enslavement of the people, at Megavolt001, great patriot to follow. Hashtag Michigan, hashtag Miss World. Breaking, Miss World America strips conservative activist Kathy Zhu of Miss Michigan's title over her refusal to wear the hijab? What? This over at the GatewayPundit.com. And as you can see, Kathy Zhu is tweeting out, Miss World America State National Chief Director accused me of being racist, Islamophobic, and insensitive. They stripped me of my Miss Michigan title due to my refusal to try on a hijab in 2018. My tweet about black on black gun violence and insensitive statistical tweets. And this, our good friend Scotty McGuire at McGuire Scotty, this in Minnesota. Look at those lying eyes. Hagnan Hassan is a member of the Minnesota House of Representatives Democratic Farm Labor Party, District 62A, speaking only for the death cult itself is why it was legal for Muslims to run for office until now. Yes, we've got to make a point. You see where they're bullying Miss America, bullying, taking her crown out of Michigan because she won't try on the hijab, because she's speaking about black-on-black crimes. We talk about it here all the time. HeyJackass.com, coming out of Chicago, the murder rate, the homicide rate in the city of Chicago, black-on-black crime is through the roof. Black Americans, I'm just here to tell you, Democrats have run your societies for decades, in some cases for almost 100 years coming out of Chicago. Last mayor of Chicago that was Republican was 1930. Guys, doing the same thing over and over again is the definition of insanity. Stop voting for these Democrats. Make a different decision. Vote for somebody different. It's unfortunate they just not reelected, but they elected a woman in Chicago that is going to absolutely continue to fail Chicago. Already race baiting, it's just unbelievable how bad it is. The people that run for mayor in Chicago, it's just so unfortunate. But again, we have this. Thank you, GatewayPundit.com, for writing up this article about this woman and highlighting Islam and what Islam does. If you don't toe the Islam line, they will bully you until you do. They will cause pain and anguish until you fall in line. Who does that sound like? Right, the Democrat Party. Exactly, that's who it sounds like. And as we talk about bullying and putting people in a box and keeping people down, we reported on this yesterday, but Donald Trump retweeting the White House once again. This should have been taken care of years ago. The Trump administration is taking care of these thugs now. This report from KCAL 9 local news in Los Angeles.
The federal indictment alleges a series of vicious murders, some involving machetes, knives, and baseball bats. 6 defendants hacked him to death with a machete. The victim was dismembered, and one of the defendants allegedly carved out his heart before throwing the body parts into a canyon.
This is Los Angeles. This is what you get. We've got a great writer that we've showcased here before, Brenna, that lives in Los Angeles. She moved there back in the early 2000s. I moved to Los Angeles in 2002, lived there for about 10 years, all the way up to 2012, and subsequently left with my wife and children to relocate, come back home to Cincinnati, where we could actually afford a house and raise our children in a better neighborhood and a better lifestyle. and she's telling me from 2012 till now, it has gotten exponentially worse in Los Angeles. Dr. Drew yesterday, we played the video clip of him just blasting the city for allowing the filth, the homelessness, allowing the drug use, and now 12 million rats overrunning the city, causing the bubonic plague to come back. Plagues that we've eradicated over 150 plus years ago are now coming back to Los Angeles. Thank you at the Democrat Party. And so as people are feeling the anguish and the pain of the Democrat Party and what they're doing in their local cities, Democrat Party, the Fab Four, or the Unfab Four, running amok in social media, running amok all over the news and on TV and whatnot, and promoting themselves as if they're some kind of famed celebrity. And something I've made a point about this before. People who don't deserve fame, people who haven't worked for it, like people who win the lottery and they go broke right away. They don't know how to act. They don't know how to take it because they've never been there before, and it's not who they are. Hollywood elites who win global awards, or awards of of acting, who get up on stage and start to tear up and cry, and you like me, you really like me, Sally Fields. That's because they didn't deserve it. When you see people that receive an award at the end of a boxing tournament or boxing match, and they get emotional, but they've earned that. They've worked for that. When you get that promotion and you get that raise from $50,000 to $75,000, or you quit one job at $50,000 a year and you get hired on at $75,000 because you know you're worth that. I got that. You don't get teary-eyed and cry up. You could see these girls, as soon as they got elected to office, it was just shock and awe because they didn't believe. They didn't think that they were worthy of it, and they had no resume to legitimately have those positions. With that being said, Donald Trump retweets Mark Levin, who is on with Sean Hannity, and so eloquently said, you've got to hear Mark Levin.
I want to thank you for having me on tonight as I watch this idiocy that's taking place in our country. President Trump was addressing the content of the character of these four women, not the color of their skin. But the media want it to be otherwise. The media are projecting, and the media are insisting on the opposite because they want the narrative of racism. He didn't talk about race. He didn't talk about skin color. He didn't talk about religion. He talked about them, the content or lack thereof of their character. On the other hand, Omar, Tlaib, AOC, I don't know this Presley that well, they are degrading an entire faith, an entire people, Jews, Israelis, an entire country, Israel. So it shouldn't surprise anybody that their venom for America is same as their venom for Israel, and vice versa. That's typical of the radical hard left. And the evidence is overwhelming that these women are anti-Semite bigots, and they don't hide it. They don't hide it. The BDS movement, their constant references to Hitler and the Third Reich and concentration camps. They have no knowledge of history. They've never visited these sites. Their families really have done nothing for this country. I'm going to be very blunt about it. I don't know what they've done in support of this country while they rip this great country apart, while we have men and women in uniform of all faiths and all colors in one hellhole after another all over the world trying to defend people and promote freedom. We have this fifth column in our country, and they're not alone. The media is a fifth column too, undermining us at home while our brave men and women are fighting abroad. So they hate the president because he has two strikes against him. He loves America, and he's the greatest president that Israel has ever seen.
Amen, Mark Levin. That just fantastic. Well said. This is what it's all about. Dr. Martin Luther King, where people will be judged on the content of their character, not the color of their skin. Mark Levin showing exactly how Donald Trump embodies that great idea from Dr. Martin Luther King. Donald Trump judging people on the character, not the color of their skin. The racist and the race baiting of Nancy Pelosi, calling Donald Trump a racist for what? For the color of his skin and not the content of his character. We see that the Democrat Party has totally embraced Islam, totally embraced these women who are race baiting, wreaking havoc in office and causing nothing but destruction when it comes to voting and the Democrat Party. I think Ilhan is at 9% approval. I believe AOC is somewhere around 20% approval. Yeah, that's not good. That's not good at all. While Donald Trump, and I know it's just Republicans only, I don't know what the polling numbers for Democrats only are on these women, but Donald Trump's approval number amongst everyone, voters, is 52 to 53%. Donald Trump's approval in the Republican Party is in the high 90s. Somewhere around 96, 97, 95, fluctuates, but it is in the high 90s of his own party. I believe the highest ever of any president this far into his presidency. And this our good friend at Tombstone Bub. Hashtag the squad, AOC, Ilhan, DNC, Schumer, Pelosi. Not one Democrat has condemned the terrorist attack on our ICE or our American flag, taken down, put Mexico one up, or the detention center attack, or just one police shot and killed this year. Hashtag Tornado Trump. And this at Tucker Carlson.
Well, it's not an overstatement to say the left's attacks on America's border security suddenly have become an attack on America itself. On Friday, at an ICE facility in Aurora, Colorado, hundreds of extremists stormed the grounds. They pulled down an American flag and tried to burn it. Then they set a Mexican flag up the flagpole to replace it. The display was awful, and it was deeply revealing of their motives. But what happened on Saturday in Washington State was even worse than that. Willem von Spronsen, he was linked with the Antifa domestic terror movement, attacked an ICE facility in Tacoma. He was carrying an AR-15 and firebombs. He torched several cars that apparently hoped to burn the facility to the ground. He was shot dead before he could kill anyone. Online, members of Antifa celebrated their fallen comrade. Facebook banned Alex Jones, as you know, because he's a hate monger. But Facebook has no problem hosting Antifa groups, including the Seattle Anti-Fascist Action branch of Antifa. On Facebook, that group posted this, quote, "When our good friend and comrade Willem von Spronsen took a stand against the fascist detention center in Tacoma, he became a martyr who gave his life to the struggle against fascism. Today we stand strong in our support for yet another martyr in the struggle against fascism. May his death serve as a call to protest and direct action." Keep in mind, it's a lunatic who showed up with a semi-automatic rifle, the kind they want to ban, by the way. Van Spronsen may have failed, but others should imitate him in launching more terror attacks on American soil. That's what they're saying. Facebook doesn't have a problem with that, of course. Well, you'd think all of this would spark some concern. Liberals might tell us it's time for a national conversation, maybe gun control. No. Antifa has the implicit support of the respectable left. So far, not a single Democratic presidential candidate has condemned Saturday's attack. Hard to believe that's true. We hope we're wrong. Maybe they condemn them during this show. But as of right now, we believe, again, hope we're wrong, that not a single Democrat running for the nomination has condemned a terror attack that took place on our soil yesterday, Saturday.
This was posted up by our good friend Tombstone Bub. The 18th, so just yesterday, he posted this video up. Today, Friday, still not a single Democrat candidate, not AOC, not Ilhan, not Rashida Tlaib, not Presley, none of Presley, not a single one of them. Nancy Pelosi, Chuck you, none of them have condemned this terrorist attack. We posted up the video of the flag being replaced immediately. I believe it was actually on Saturday when I received the video. We posted that up as soon as we possibly could. We were about a few hours later than Real Saavedra, which, man, at Real Saavedra is on top of breaking news. So if you ever someone to follow, it would definitely be him. But that thing hit 60,000 views in a few days. I'm saying people are upset about this. Americans don't want this. And this is what's going to destroy the Democrat Party by not condemning the violence. And why are they not condemning the violence, Brian? Guys, this is why Facebook allows it to happen. Twitter allows it to happen. Radical Islams are allowed to wreak havoc and cause problems on social media and not be banned. And Antifa, not be banned, allowed to communicate with one another, because this is part of the global agenda. They need this in America. They need the division. This is the war. If there was ever a World War III, it is right now. The attack on American ideologies from the globalist agenda. The attack on the citizenry around the world, in every country. The attack on the citizenry in order to put them back in the box, in order to enslave them and control them once again, like the kings and queens of 100, 200 years ago. That's not going to happen because we have social media. We're fighting back with information and knowledge and showing people who not to vote for. And this our good friend at Eric Matheny, the great patriot to follow. While these four held press conferences, did the talk show circuit, and otherwise made the news cycle completely about themselves, the Democrat presidential candidates lost a full week of press coverage. Let that sink in. And this was breaking news yesterday. Powerline blog, David Steinberg tying up loose threads in the curious case having to do with Ilhan and the marriage of her brother. Great article to read. He does go into detail, and I'll read this for you. In 4 intensely reported investigative columns, David Steinberg has explored the evidence suggesting that Ilhan entered into a sham marriage with her brother in 2009. So I just wanted to go directly to David Steinberg and the blog. And in his blog, he exposes exactly what Ilhan had done, coming to America, going all the way back to her childhood in Somalia, exposing her father, and then her trek here to America. The problem with her brother coming to America and being part of the Somali refugee is that the Somali refugee program, the family program where a family member could come over if you are an American citizen, which she attempted to do, but that program had ended. They stopped the program, the government did, because 87% of Somalis lied about who their family members were in order just to get people over here. They investigated Omar for 8 instances of perjury, immigration fraud, marriage fraud, and up to 8 years of state and federal tax fraud, 2 years of federal student loan fraud, and even bigamy. David Steinberg claims that this is about a 40-year prison sentence. But these individuals need to be made an example of. That you just don't do. You just don't walk up in America. You just don't do this and get away with it. Examples need to be made. And this our good friend at Steven Speaks Up. We reported on this yesterday, Nancy Pelosi wanting the $15 minimum wage bill to put to vote. And it did pass. Apparently it did pass. But our good friend Steven Speaks Up says, at POTUS, at Speaker Pelosi, this is a bright day. Our Lord is still victorious over your squad of radicals. Trump is our president. Your minimum wage bill that would kill businesses will never become law. Our Navy shot down an Iranian drone. This is our good friend at Robert Dunlop 947, a great patriot to follow. I would like to thank these ladies for all their hard work on pissing off every Jewish person in the Democrat Party. Fist bump, flag. Their tireless campaigning for President Trump is much appreciated. Fist bump. Eyeball sack Soros. Money has never been spent on a more worthwhile cause. And this means the committee to re-elect Donald Trump, and it shows all 4 of the ladies in question. And as we talk about racism having to do with these women, this at Battleborn Thorn. Rashida Tlaib, the squad, can you explain this tweet? Anti-Semitic, maybe? racist much? I wonder who really loves America and Americans more. And you have to screenshot these when you get the chance because they can be deleted. And this at Rashida Tlaib, this is her Twitter account. She says, Americans have spent decades raping and pillaging my people. What goes around comes around. Hashtag Friday feeling. We'll talk about despicable. This is vile. This is absolutely vile. This is part of the division, the dividing of America. This is what the globalists want. The problem is that social media has given us the opportunity to show you in real time, every single day, Monday, Friday, 7 to 8 p.m. Eastern, right here, New Right Network's original series, SmythTV, your host, Brian Smith, real-time evidence of where the racism is.
The 2020 candidates and Hill leadership seem absolutely petrified of them. Well, tonight, we turn to the roots of this new radical vanguard. The Drab 4's anti-American race baiting contains the DNA of the leftist radicals of yesteryear. Now, how so? Well, AOC plus 3 is the natural outgrowth of those who believe that America is a fundamentally evil place founded by evil white men. Now, in the past, some of this anti-American rabble-rousing was largely relegated to universities, maybe Black Panther or other radical-type meetings or dying liberal churches. Certainly not the Democrat Party. But the times, they are a-changin'.
And because I am ashamed of it continuing to live in its hypocrisy, that I work so hard to make sure that others who've had that, like, why just be American? Why don't you be more like an American? Because it used to be a very positive thing.
The United States is running concentration camps on our southern border.
But we have yet to enjoy the full measure of freedom as Black Americans.
He's a friend and a great leader. I give an extraordinary welcome to my pastor, Dr. Jeremiah Wright Jr., friend of the United Church of Christ. Where's he at?
No. Not God bless America. God damn America. That's in the Bible for killing innocent people. God damn America for treating us citizens as less than human.
At a moment when 6,000 people a week were being murdered by our government, we committed extreme acts of vandalism. We destroyed property, and that's not terrorism. We were issuing a creamy, a very noisy scream against genocide. And the terrorists in that time were the people dropping bombs on Vietnam.
And I thank you, Laura Ingraham, for putting this piece together. Yes, Barack Obama launching his campaign out of Bill Ayers, the terrorist, Bill Ayers' home. Bill Ayers is responsible for murdering people, yet he walks free. I don't understand how that happens, but, when you're tied to the George Soroses of the world, you're tied to the globalists, the powers that be, you pretty much get a free pass. And as you can see, we're dealing with the same people, just a different face. It's the same old tire rhetoric. It's just a different face. The globalists thinking that they can put a young, pretty face on, the propaganda, that it's going to sway, it's going to change people. And no, it absolutely does not. It is pushing people away. And as we see at Echo the Call, a great patriot to follow, I love this. The squad truck driving around with video billboards of Representative Ocasio-Cortez, Omar, Presley, and Tlaib around Washington, D.C. Our good friend Jack Posobiec there on the ground, scoping, talking to the gentleman who's driving this truck. It's three sides. It's got three TV screens on three sides of the giant box bed truck, and it's looped playing. Ilhan and everybody not willing to condemn terrorist attacks. Thank you, Jack, for posting this up. And this from the Rebel Media.
Explain to us what this truck is. So we're here with this billboard truck in Washington, D.C. because earlier this week I...
Sure, so they can see it.
Sure. So Earlier this week, I interviewed.
And this at Farber Yankee, definitely one to follow. President real Donald Trump to Jake Turks prior to boarding Marine One yesterday.
It would be historic. So you ought to look at some of the horrible statements, because there's never been statements like that.
Follow up about that, Mr. President. You've been very outspoken about the anti-Israel trend, seemingly anti-Israel trend of the Democratic Party. How do you think that all began, and is there anyone in particular you blame on that?
Well, the Democratic Party is really going in a direction that nobody thought possible. They're going so far left, they're going to fall off a cliff. So I think they're making a big mistake, but who knows? That's up to them.
Absolutely, they're going off a cliff. They're going full board into embracing Islam. Before they were embracing communism getting its root in American politics. As they embraced communism, as they embraced socialism, we can see that having an effect in different countries around the world in real time. Social media putting that on display, whether it be Venezuela or even remembering the former USSR. That's not hard to see. Lots of documentaries out there. People like me and my cousin and my friends, Gen Xers, we lived that. We remembered that in the 80s. We remembered Ronald Reagan tear down that wall. We remember Gorbachev. We remembered all of that. That was our childhood. My father, some of y'all's grandfathers are still alive. The greatest generation, the baby boomers, they saw that. So socialism and communism, very bad name. People aren't buying it. Nobody wants it. So they're turning to something new. They're turning to Islam. Islam is, they're putting a human face to it, which is not hard to do. There's human beings practicing Islam. Quiet, private, not violent individuals, and those are the ones they showcase. Some of these imams that refer to as the Islam reformers, I'm sorry, man, that's not going to work. The only thing that will work is you walking away from the cult of death called Islam, Satan's religion, Islam. You've got to walk away from that and understand that the Quran calls for violence and killing of the infidel, the non-believer. Look towards Christianity, look towards Christ, and understand that that's where the peace, the freedom, and the beauty, that's where heaven is. That's where the goodness, the greatness is. Not Islam. Okay, now I just want to kind of clarify this. Human beings are naturally flawed. We're all flawed. Everybody's sinful. Nobody is perfect whatsoever. Christ died on the cross and rose again for our sins, for our future sins. It's already been paid for. So when you get to heaven and they say, why should you come to heaven? You tell them, say, hey, Jesus told me to meet him here. He said he'd be waiting for me. John 3:16. Lots of problems when it comes to all the violence with the Muslims in London and allowing them to go free. The rape gangs, they are raping hundreds of women daily, weekly, monthly. They are raping a lot of women. And a lot of times these Muslims are getting off scot-free. You're like, Brian, why are you pointing out they're Muslims and they're raping? Well, that's part of their culture. I'm saying some cultures are better than others. Our culture here in America is better than the culture in Somalia. Our culture here in America is better than the Islamic cultures in Iran and Saudi Arabia and around the world. I don't know of any Islamic culture that is better than anything. Buddhists are better than them. The Indians in the Middle East are better than them. They are at the bottom when it comes to cultures. I'm sorry. It's the culture of slavery, enslavement. And that's not what human nature, it's not what human beings yearn. Human beings yearn to be free. And you only get that with Christianity. Christianity is the only thing that gives you freedom and control over your own life. Couple that with capitalism, and there is nothing in this world that you can't accomplish or you can't do. And this, our good friend at LRI Hendry, Laura Hendry. This is why I saw this tweet from Greg Abbott _ Texas, the governor of Texas. And thank you, Lori. And Lori thanks the governor. And again, at Greg Abbott _ TX. Today I signed the Chick-fil-A law in Texas.
Discrimination is not tolerated in Texas.
No business should be discriminated against simply because its owners gave to a church or to the Salvation Army or to any other religious organization. Chick-fil-A bill is now law in Texas.
How fantastic. And it's our good friend at Larry Elder, the sage from South Central. 8 good reasons to vote for Donald Trump in 2020. Rashida Tlaib, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, Presley, Ilhan Omar, Barack Obama, Cenk Uygur, Al Sharpton, and George Soros. And in case you didn't know, yes, Chick-fil-A was under fire for being a Christian-owned business, which in America, that's completely legit, completely legal. There's nothing illegal about that. But losing a government contract because of your religious beliefs, that's a big problem. And I thank you, Governor of Texas, Greg Abbott, for standing up for Christian rights. Donald Trump becoming the greatest champion of Christian rights as a president that we've never had before. Donald Trump championing pro-life, shutting down these abortion mills. This is a pro-life Christian movement that we're involved in. And again, folks, when I say that you get a little bit down, you get a little bit frustrated, you got to remember where we came from. Seriously, and how much of a struggle it was to get to here and how we got to here. And it was only because of all of our prayers. Everybody I know prayed daily, multiple times, for God to come down and shine the light on and just give us another opportunity here in America. And we're having a Christian movement that I think is going to be absolutely phenomenal. There's a huge Christian movement in the communist country of China. There's a big Christian movement in North Korea, some of these communist countries, and in Iran, where Christianity is being introduced under all this underground, being introduced to people who claim to be Muslim, but only do out of fear for their life because, you know, if you don't convert to Islam, then chop the head off, and that's it. But seeing that the freedom and the love and the peace is through Christ in Christianity, that's where it's at, guys. And so we have to show our Muslim friends and neighbors, we've got to talk to them about Christ, and we've got to, in all intents and purposes, we got to convert them. Because as it stands right now, there is no trail of tears. There's no way that you're going to remove all these Muslims in America. You just cannot do it. Physically, humanely, it will never, ever happen. It's just not possible. No government would condone it. Our government wouldn't condone it. Christians wouldn't condone it. But here's what we have to do. Here's our secret weapon. Our secret weapon is Christ. Our secret weapon is peace and freedom. Our secret weapon is to show people that are in slavery currently that they don't have to live like that, that you can live in a place where you make your own decisions and you're not ruled by a legislative governing body like the Ayatollah Khomeini and the Quran. That you're not dictated what you can and cannot do with your life. You can live a life of peace and freedom. And moving towards that, guys, we've got to continue to preach the good word of the Bible and Christ. And, we talk about this all the time, but we've got to make a conscious effort to make that happen. And you guys are listening to New Right Network's original series, Smith TV, your host, Brian Smith, giving you all the breaking news of the day, wrapping it all up, making sense of it, explaining and showing you the fake news propaganda, MSNBC's, CBS, CNN's, and the Democrat propaganda party, giving you the real news, giving you the facts, and the direction that we're heading is a great direction with this president. And guys, to continue to keep this show on, to continue the show, jump down in the description below, crush the Patreon button, $1 per person over the 15,000 viewers. And don't think that, if you got that many viewers, just leave it up to somebody else to do it. No, because if you do that, and they do that, and everybody will do that. Don't do that. So jump down to the Patreon. Crush it. Continue to get the real news out. And Wayne Dupree is right on after this. His link in the description below for Freedom Friday, as I like to call it. My Donald Trump, good Lord. Oh, my goodness, we're so blessed. Say a prayer for your friends and family and enjoy your weekend. Peace out.
You've been listening to New Right Network, mobilizing, countering, energizing. Online at newrightnetwork.com.